Sure. Is that chalk?
I'm making you dinner.
The first for everything.
Yeah, dude.
So you can reuse it.
You never used to eat chalk as a kid?
Is that kind of like when you lick the window on a school bus?
Yeah, you didn't do that either.
No, I didn't. Did you?
Oh. I thought it was normal. All right, we're back. So the last thing we finished up was the headers on the car, and I have been waiting for my exhaust kit to get here so I can actually build the rest of the exhaust out. But one of the big things did show up today, and that is the front drive assembly. So we got a Jones Racing Products serpentine setup that we were running on this motor. So we got the water pump set up with our -16 AN line bung, so we can run the lines for that. We got our water pump pulley and our alternator from Jones Racing. The only thing we're missing right now is our main drive hub. So we went to put the drive hub on, and we believe it's the wrong one. It was off on the center of these holes for our dampener. Unfortunately, we weren't able to finish it all up, but we got most of it on there. And then we got the firing order set up on the distributor cap for the plugs, for the wires, and that is all in place. So we're doing all that, kind of mocking it up, because we are going to run all of our AN lines, and we're going to finish up the wiring on the motor. So I already started running some of the wires for the sensors. This is our water temp. I ran the wire for our alternator, and then trying to decide to figure out where to put my oil temp. It won't stretch in the same spot and down the motor, so I'm most likely gonna have to come off the side. I finished doing the drive shaft hoop, so that part's in. Everything's mocked up that I need, and I'll be able to work on getting the exhaust finished up. I got one kit shipped to me, and then it was missing parts, so they told me to hold off from using any of it. And then they sent a second one, and it got lost in shipping. How? I don't know, but I'm supposed to have it here Monday, so hopefully this week we'll work on finishing the exhaust. This video is pretty much going to be buttoning up the whole front of the car and getting the exhaust done. And then after that, we're just plugging away at the rest of the radiator stuff, which is basically we have to get the panels in that I made and connect everything back together. And then it's pretty much getting to the point where we're going to be able to put fluids in and then first fire of the car. It's super close, but it's always at this point when you realize there's a lot of little things that'll go wrong to keep you from finishing it. So there's a lot of things on the list, but we're getting pretty close. I'm getting pretty excited. All right, you guys, so we are starting the exhaust. Starting the exhaust of the car, and I realized I probably should have showed you guys. I already started. Got home from work. I was like, oh, I got buses, and this is gonna be the hardest part. So the hardest part was coming off the headers and making them equal again for the exhaust. I already took one side off, but I got the other side on with the V-band clamp right exactly where I want it. The other one's really, really close. We got the same distance from the floorboard, which is really hard to measure on this car because I don't know exactly what's the same, and this floorboard isn't exactly perfect. We're not going to talk about that, but got these set up, cut, and really close to the same height. And that was another thing, was figuring out, okay, how am I going to measure the height of the exhaust and make sure they're the same, so that way they're kind of going straight when I build the rest of it. I based my measurement off of the trans mount, which should be pretty flat because our lift is actually not perfectly flat. You can kind of tell this side's a little higher than that side. So I had to figure out which points I was going to measure from. And then I measured my distance from two spots on the K member that were exactly the same, and the lengths. So I know that this one's 1 inch longer with the way I cut it, and with the way that the headers ended up, because we talked about that. I'm going to start welding this side, get this side in, double check it with that side again, and then weld the other side. Then we'll move on from there. I need an honest friend, someone I can rely on. Don't want to pretend, prefer to leave the lights on. I took a further fetch, holding me back, made me feel this way. We don't see So this one is all welded and back in for the exhaust. And I just finished up welding this one. Had a little bit of fun with this one. There's a little bit of a gap with the V-band, as I was telling you guys. They're not that great, so they're kind of hard to weld. And once that cools down a little bit, I'm gonna set it up in here and just make sure that we ended up in the spot that we wanted to end up in. And then we will work on the rest of the fun stuff. So I got this exhaust kit, and I got the X pipe and the 2 mufflers. So I think tomorrow we'll cruise along a little bit further. Hopefully we get the X pipe in, and then from there it should just be straight shot back and a little bit up and right in there, and then a dump right back the axle. So all right, you guys, so we are on to the next day. We got these welded up yesterday, the ones on the car, and I took some measurements real quick, and they need to be the same length. So I gotta take about 1 inch off of this end, and then all my measurements after that should be the same. So while I was waiting for the air compressor to catch up, I am figuring out how I'm going to cut these perfectly in the center, because my plan is I'm going to cut these and then rotate them to go into the X pipe. I'm going to make a little layout jig here to get the center perfectly on the tube, mark it up, and then chop it. And then I'll cut this off. Then we'll see where we end up with the X pipe. So we got this one cut to match this one, and they are the same length. Took my measurement off the K member in the same location. And then we got these cut here. So these should work pretty good. I'm thinking it's gonna get pretty close to the X pipe location. So I'm gonna clean up all these edges, tape them together, and check them there. All right, so I realized I started taking it apart before I showed you guys. So this is where I ended up with those 2 pieces. And right now it's about 2 inches. So I've got a 2-inch piece that'll work. But while I'm here and I'm doing it, I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 1-inch pieces and see if I can ship this over and center it and make everything even. But the X pipe itself is nice and tucked up close to the drive shaft hoop, but not too close. And my line on it is perfectly where I wanted it, which is right underneath the seats. I'll be able to build my strap that actually holds this X pipe up. Other than that, it's at the right angle. It's kind of angled up, which is what we want. And just eyeballing it, once we come out, we'll be able to come back out and out of the way with the mufflers, and it shouldn't be an issue with the drive shaft at all.
lose my eyes, before I lose my mind, before I lose my heart, before I lose my mind, before I lose my heart, before I lose my mind. It's just a matter of time before I lose my mind, before I lose my mind, before I lose my mind. It's just a matter of time before I lose my mind, before I lose my mind.
What do you think?
Looks good, dude. Can't wait for you to do mine.
All right, it's all welded up. X pipe is welded in. We put it back in with the V-band clamps and it went right back to where it was supposed to be. So it's looking good so far. And tomorrow I will build the strap for it for the X pipe and then finish it off with the mufflers.
Are you showing everybody what you're doing?
I have it.
Okay.
It's everything until the strap.
Till the strap? Oh, okay. Well, straps in.
It looks really good.
Yeah, sir?
Every time, dude.
Sir?
Your beard.
Hey, thanks to Carlton for bringing this back from Vegas. Hey, sir? Please stop. Anyways, there's the strap. About to weld it up. You guys are going to watch on time lapse. Yeehaw!
And you're going to see it on the timeline. All right, you guys, so we got the strap in for this X pipe. Got it all welded up. Just 2 strips here on the backside and riv nutted into the floor that's right underneath the seat. So it's nice and sturdy. We came up with a great game plan. Basically, off of the X pipe, we're gonna do about 16 inches of straights to these V-bands. So I'm gonna weld those up first, and then in the X pipe, it actually works out really well where they'll sit in there, same level, come out, and then I can separate them because of the play that's in these pipes. It's enough to where the V bands will fit back here. So I'll still have my V band set up, and then from there I'll have my extensions to my muffler, and that's gonna look something like this. So we'll have this come out to our small little muffler, and then I'll build a little dump that'll go right past the rear axle. But first things first, we're gonna get these V-bands welded onto these straights and then get those situated in the X pipe. It's getting better. It's not perfect, but I'm feeling better about it. So getting lots of practice, that's for sure. Anyways, got both of them all welded up. So now it's time to fit them in, and I'm gonna create a little block so that way I have space between them and get it kind of all set up in there and tack them in. Alright, so these are welded in, they're level. Well, they're not welded in completely, but I got it tacked in and a few sides that I could do while it's in the car. It's good enough to where it's not going to move while I do the rest. So now I'm going to work on the rest of the V-band and get that figured out. It's time to work on these pieces. All right, so we got the first parts welded up, the first bends, so those will go off of the V-band, and then I'm gonna set them up in there and set the other bends in exactly where I want them. I'm getting tired. I was up at 4:30 and it is 1:15, but we're gonna get this done today because we got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow, so gotta get this all out of the way. It is officially 3 in the morning and we have made it this far. So I got these welded, I got these all at the same angle and got them welded, and now we got our mufflers on there. It's looking that tilted down a little bit because it's not necessarily tight right now. They line up really good. End up dumping them pretty much exactly where I want them to. As you can see, it's just right below the axle. So the only concern I have a little bit is right here, how close my fuel line gets. But being that this is the end of the exhaust and it's all heat sleep and stuff, I'm not too sure. Another big problem though is this hanger works. That'll be great. Hanger doesn't work there with that fuel line there, so I gotta figure out something for that. This whole side sucks. This side, good. But yeah, we're getting there. Pretty happy so far. I think that'll be okay. I'm just gonna weld it. I can fix it later. I am so tired. You can literally see it in my eyes. All right, welding this up and then calling it a night.
Alrighty, so Carlton's ran to J2 real quick to grab something. Trevor and I are just digging away on a bunch of little stuff here and there. Got a few lines done up top. Carlton's grabbing some more -16 line to make those. Trevor and I are gonna put the ground strap in next. So that's the plan. So from right there, probably over to a nutsert over here somewhere, and get her done.
I saw the drill out and heard the air compressor. I was like, oh,
gotta go check. What are they doing? What are they doing? Make sure they do it right.
One little trip and I'm out of here. And all of a sudden they're cutting off. Just kidding.
Ground strap's done. Working on figuring out why. Well, not figuring out why. We know why, but the stock bracket for the driver's bolt is just super loose, so the threads are kind of toast. So it needs to be drilled, retapped to a bigger size. All right, getting all the lines finished up. Carlton actually had to run and get a P-clamp to tighten up this -16. We wanted it all the way tight against the strut tire, which we got it to be there. And unfortunately, we're missing a -16T. So for us to make this next line that comes right here that I got started and run it up through here, we want this to be in place because we want it to follow just right along here and go straight into this other T. But what I need to do is clamp this in place, take this T off, take the hose off of it, which I just pushed on there, put the T over there to make that next line and finish it up. So finishing that dash 16, finishing this dash 8 fuel log line, and that's all the lines. Getting real close.
Alright, you guys, I have no clue where we left off. Today got hectic. Obviously, you guys saw I had Tori and Trevor here, and we were just banging things out left and right, getting a lot done on this motor, which is super awesome. Super thankful for their help. It's always good having buddies like that without coming to help you on your project. So I just took a little bit of break, and now I'm going to be working on getting this exhaust all set up. And I don't know if I showed you guys last night, but mufflers are all welded, and right now I've got it set in here with a hanger, and I got the rod all made up, and I have to figure out this side. So on this side the bracket does not work because we put this fuel line here, and I am not going to relocate this fuel line right now. That is too set in stone. So I'm gonna have to figure out some sort of way to build a bracket. Most likely gonna use this this piece that we left in here and come up with a way to build a hanger for it on this side. So it's looking really good. I'm stoked. Tori and I were talking earlier, and we're really starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel with this thing, and it's kind of nice after so long. I've been, you know, we've been working on this thing every day, every night after work, and obviously we had a really long gap waiting for the motor. Man, it's been a challenge. So get really excited that we're getting closer. Yeah, I'm excited to show everybody this car, and really excited to debut it at an event. People might not care, people may care, but this has just been a real big like pride of a lot of my work, and not only me, but the people that helped me. Kind of had like a moment of realization. I'm also extremely tired, but alrighty. Let's get to finishing this exhaust. Dude, I'm glad you're sitting on that chair and not the stool.
We're not going to talk about that.
Can we talk about it?
No.
Okay. Talk about it. We need a new shop stool. All right, so the exhaust is done. Today I just finished up making just the tip. Making the tips for the end of the muffler, and got those all welded up, so everything's good to go. So now we're gonna take it all the way out so I can finish the welds here on this X pipe. But other than that, we are done, and that is the final exhaust setup. Turned out pretty good, pretty happy with it. But for now we'll take it out, and I gotta pull the headers so we can go get them coated, and that is going to be the conclusion of this video. So see you next time. Got anything to add?
Exhaust looks great. Not bad for your first time. Could have been better, but eh.
All right, peace.